The clatter of silverware and soft murmur of elegant chatter filled the golden-lit street café, where the world's wealthiest gathered in polished shoes and pressed tuxedos. But all of that delicate refinement shattered in an instant when a thin, dirt-streaked girl burst between the tables, clutching a torn burlap sack as if it were the last thing she owned. Her breath was sharp, her eyes wide with a kind of fear that only those who've seen too much too young can carry. And when she lunged forward with an outstretched hand, pointing at the glistening salad on a billionaire's plate, her voice cracked the evening air like lightning as she pleaded, "Don't eat that." Before we dive deeper into this emotional story of fate, courage, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe in kindness, humanity, and the power of compassion to change lives. It helps this channel reach more hearts like yours. From the outside, the scene made no sense. The billionaire, Leonard Albrecht, a man known for his unshakable composure and cold precision, stared at the frail girl in disbelief. Around him, waiters froze, guests gasped, and security guards stepped forward, ready to drag her away. But something in her trembling gaze, some mixture of desperation, urgency, and a fragile kind of innocence, stopped him from waving her off. For the first time in years, he felt uncertainty slip through the cracks of his polished exterior. The girl's name was Lyra. She had grown up on the edges of this glamorous city, sleeping in alleys that smelled of sour rain and fading hopes, surviving on scraps and the kindness of strangers, though kindness was a rare currency where she came from. The torn sack over her shoulder carried everything she had left in the world. Inside it lay little more than a broken wooden toy, a bottle cap she believed was lucky, and a handful of memories that refused to let her give up, even on the hardest days. For the last 3 nights, Lyra had been watching the elegant restaurant from across the street. Not because she dreamed of tasting its food, she'd long given up on such fantasies, but because she noticed something odd. A man in a long coat often slipped into the alley behind the kitchen. She'd seen him pour something into the trash, whisper under his breath, and disappear. On the previous night, she saw him carry a small vial, its contents glistening green under the dim light. She didn't understand much, but she understood danger. The streets had taught her to recognize it quickly. That same man, his silver beard and sharp eyes now quietly observing from a nearby table, was present again tonight. Lyra didn't know his name, but she recognized his face the moment she spotted him through the crowd. Something inside her tightened. She followed his gaze, saw him watching Leonard's table with an unsettling stillness, and then she noticed the salad, the same salad she'd seen the waiter carry out of the kitchen right after the bearded man slipped inside. Leonard picked up his fork just as Lyra reached for his plate, her small hand trembling. In that moment, the world seemed split into 2 versions of itself, one where he listened, and one where he didn't. For a heartbeat, silence swallowed everything. Leonard's life up to that instant had been nothing but logic, power, and calculation. He had made billions by trusting numbers, not people. Emotions were distractions, vulnerability was a weakness. Yet, as he looked at this trembling, frightened child, something in him stirred, an instinct long buried under years of wealth and isolation. One of the guards reached for her arm. Lyra flinched violently, dropping her sack, and toys scattered across the polished stone like broken pieces of a childhood cut short. The clatter drew Leonard's eyes away from the plate and toward her belongings. A tiny wooden horse lay on its side, its once bright paint chipped and faded. For reasons he couldn't explain, guilt twisted his chest. He raised a hand, stopping the guards. The bearded man at the other table shifted uncomfortably. Leonard slowly lifted the plate, studying it. Nothing seemed off. It looked like any other salad, crisp greens, cherry tomatoes, slick dressing. But the girl wouldn't look away from it. Her breath was sharp and uneven, her face drawn tight with terror. Just then, a faint scent reached Leonard, something metallic beneath the aroma of fresh herbs. He leaned closer, his experienced senses catching a chemical tinge, one that didn't belong in a meal. The shocking realization snapped through him. Lyra wasn't causing trouble. She was trying to save him. As the truth dawned on him, the bearded man pushed back his chair ever so slightly, preparing to slip away. But Leonard locked eyes with him, and in that split second, everything became clear. Security swarmed. Guests cried out. The bearded man tried to stand, but 2 guards intercepted him before he could escape. Chaos spilled through the elegant street café like a sudden storm. Leonard slowly lowered the plate, his pulse pounding in his ears. The girl collapsed onto the ground, exhausted and trembling. He crouched beside her, and for the first time in years, his voice softened. Though the story avoids dialogue, what mattered was the shift, the warmth replacing the steel in his eyes. As the restaurant staff scrambled and the authorities arrived, the truth came to light. The bearded man had been a disgruntled former employee, fired months earlier for misconduct. He had blamed Leonard for ruining his life and sought revenge through the most cowardly method. Lyra's watchful eyes and innocent bravery had prevented a tragedy. But the story didn't end there. In the hours that followed, when the street had quieted and the guests had dispersed, Leonard remained outside, processing everything. Lyra sat against a building wall nearby, hugging her knees, unsure what would happen next. She was used to being chased away, scolded, or ignored. Waiting for punishment felt easier than hoping for kindness. Leonard approached her with slow, deliberate steps. The night air felt cooler now, carrying the soft rustle of city lights settling into silence. As he looked at the small, malnourished girl who had risked everything for a stranger, something inside him broke open, something he had buried after the loss of his own daughter many years ago. He had closed himself off, convincing himself that vulnerability only led to pain. But in Lyra's frightened eyes, he saw the same spark of courage his daughter once carried. He found himself offering her warmth, safety, and the first gentle gesture she had received in a long time. It wasn't charity. It wasn't guilt. It was gratitude, and a rediscovery of the humanity he had locked away. Over the next few weeks, Leonard made sure Lyra received medical care, clean clothes, and a safe place to stay. But more importantly, he gave her what she had been deprived of for so long, consistent kindness. Lyra, in turn, brought light and laughter back into his quiet mansion, filling its empty halls with life again. Their bond grew not out of obligation, but out of mutual healing, two broken souls finding something unexpected in each other, hope. She attended a nearby school, discovered she had a gift for drawing, and slowly learned to trust that good things could last. Leonard attended her art showcases, proudly applauding even when her drawings were messy or crooked. She learned to smile without fear. He learned to love without regret. Their story spread quietly among those who knew them, a billionaire saved by a beggar girl, and a beggar girl saved by a billionaire. Not because of money, but because of compassion. Because one moment of courage and one moment of listening changed both their lives forever. As you reflect on their extraordinary journey, if this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach people who need hope today. Before we end, here's a special request. Please comment below with one thing you believe the world needs more of: kindness, courage, second chances, or something else meaningful to you. In the end, the truth is simple yet profound. Sometimes the most powerful lifesavers come in the smallest, most unexpected forms. And sometimes, the richest transformations happen not in grand boardrooms or private jets, but in the quiet connection between two lives that were never meant to cross, until fate insisted they did.